Hello, this is Richard Grassi with howtopaintwithacrylics.com. In this acrylic painting critique, I want to take a look at a painting I did several years ago called Hot Days and Cool Nights on Shikoku. Shikoku is one of the four major islands of Japan, and I live in Japan. And when I visited Shikoku, it was in the spring, and I was impressed by many things. It's a very beautiful island, but I was impressed also by how hot the days were and how cool the nights were, and that led me to create a little challenge for myself, or a problem that I wanted to solve as an artist, and that was that I wanted to try to express the sensations of feeling hot and cool in the same image. And so I gave it some thought, and I decided that for the medium that I wanted to work with acrylic paint on paper. So this unfortunately rather fuzzy photo here, but you can see that this is a sort of an irregular triptych. There's a left panel here, a larger central panel, and a right panel as well. And there are cut-out shapes. This tree, for example, was cut out and pasted over these other little shapes that I cut out as well. The orientation, of course, this is a horizontal sort of orientation, and there are some diagonal lines. Talking about the composition in a bit more detail here, there's some diagonal lines. Here's one that I hope help to unify this triptych. Here's one that this line continues from the left panel into the central panel and on across into the right panel. Another large diagonal line is here, and it continues from the left panel into the central panel, sort of along the ridge of the mountains and up on through to the left panel. Again, I had hoped when I was composing this that those diagonal lines would help to unify the triptych as they were carried through all three panels. I also intended for the diagonal lines to help to evoke the movement of wind and the dynamic change of temperature that was taking place. The shapes that are quite simple here. This is a semi-abstract landscape. There's a moon-like shape here in the left panel that's been sharply bisected by what I hope viewers will understand as clouds. There is a very simplified mountain and ridge here, sand dunes, tree, etc. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the composition. What I decided to do was, after giving it some thought, was I decided that I would try to depict evening scenes in the outer panels, and then a daylight scene with hot colors, traditionally hot colors of yellows and oranges, in this large central panel. So the night, sort of night panels, outer panels on the right side and left side here were meant to frame this central daylight panel. You can see that the colors, though, of course, are quite similar all across. But although it's a bit hard to tell in this fuzzy photo, there are cooler colors in the outer panels than in the central panel. You can see here there's dark red here in this large a clump of leaves, dark grays and browns, if I recall correctly, up here in the top right corner, dark reds here, the blue of the tree trunk. This looks like black, this other part of the trunk. It's actually very dark blue. In the left panel, there are blacks and very dark blues, some grays, and dark reds. All of those are traditionally thought of as cooler colors. Now, when I was talking about the tree, I'd like to point out that this tree is sort of a sneaky device. The tree is a carefully placed actor, I suppose, in this little drama that exists below and beyond the bottom edge of the picture, which is really this line here. You can see that's the bottom edge of the picture, and the tree does extend below that. The reason that I placed it there is that I hoped that the tree would help to lead the viewer's eye, lead our eye into the painting itself. It also, if you notice, it overlaps both the larger central daytime panel and the cooler evening right side panel here. It overlaps both. Been placed here because I'd hoped that the tree, which is the only living thing that's being depicted in this painting, would help us to sort of vicariously and probably unconsciously sort of experience the sensations that the tree experiences of wind and sun, heat and coolness, day and night. And so that's why it's been placed here. This is not a sort of a new technique. Of course, this sort of technique has been used many times in the past. Well, here's a couple of examples. Here's a quite famous painting, and you can see that the grapes are overhanging the table here. This is a sharp edge of the table here, and yet the grapes appear to be hanging over that and jutting out towards us. Another example here. This is a famous one. The dogs here in the left-hand corner, the hunters with their backs toward us, and this large tree here, and also this plant right here in the very foreground. All of these things, I think, help to lead us into the painting itself, and I think that they were very carefully placed there to do just that. Anyway, returning back to my own painting, looking at this now more critically, areas that I think could be improved, although this photo again is quite poor, and it's hard to get sort of an accurate assessment of colors here, but nonetheless I think I can say that this, for example, this leaf, this large clump of leaves here in the tree that's overlapping the central panel appears to be, you know, black. I think it's actually very dark blue, but at any rate that's a cool color, and yet the tree, this area, you know, these tree leaves are in the daylight area, so it's incongruous. I think that such a cool color. I think probably a brighter or warmer color, maybe bright green or possibly red or orange, or would have been a better choice of colors in this section. I think a similar observation can be made for the trunk of the tree, particularly the left side of the trunk of the tree here. I think again a hotter, warmer color would have been a better choice. So if I still had this piece, it was sold many years ago, but if I still had it and I wanted to go back into it, those are some areas that I probably would right away rework. You can see that this blue of the trunk here, there doesn't seem to be much differentiation in value and color intensity here, despite the fact that this side of the trunk of the tree is in the cooler panel and this is in in the daylight hot sort of central panel. So I think, probably a red or a very bright blue on the left side of the trunk would be more appropriate. The top right corner here as well, it's quite hard to see what in the world is going on up there. It's kind of boring right now. It looks like in this photo. I think I would have reworked that if I could. Maybe put some stars in there. At any rate, those are areas that I think could use some improvement. I hope that's been this little critique has been helpful. If you have any questions, please check out the site, howtopaintwithacrylics.com. This is posted there, and I plan to do quite a few more of these kind of acrylic painting critiques. If you'd like to have your own painting critiqued, there's a contact page at howtopaintwithacrylics.com. So just check out the link below this video, and you can submit your own painting. And if my staff and I are able to get to it, and we try to get to everyone's that we can as quickly as possible, but if we can, we'll seriously consider it and give you a critique. Anyway, again, I hope this has been helpful, and good luck with your own painting. All right, goodbye.